Any ideas on how to promote side projects, but without diluting your original business? Sounds a bit exciting.
We've got experience of this. I wouldn't say we've got the silver bullet, but we've got the experience of this. I'd be interested to know if it was, if it's her main business that she's talking about, or if it's, in partnership with someone else or working for someone else. But it sounds like she's got one idea for a new business on the side of her existing business.
Yeah, I think that, and it's one of these things I've heard as conversations as well within larger companies, they want to behave like a startup. They want to spin up this startup idea, but they don't want the risk, the brand, and the image of the original business. And yeah, ultimately, you want to. It's a lot of guesswork, really, unless you really know what your idea is. You've got a good idea that this business or this new venture is going to be a success. You're probably in pure startup mode, which is trying to work out who does this idea really resonate with. And so what we did, rather than start up with, oh, this is a money-making business, or this is a money-making scheme, and this is how the business is going to work, is we just tried to build a community, trying to get to know people and what drove them.
Yeah.
You want to speak more on that, Laurence?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is, the Happy Startup School obviously was a side project, a side hustle, whatever you call it. But we started it very much as I hate the term, passion project. It was a passion project, because we did it because we wanted to do it and we needed to do it. It was an obsession more than an actual business opportunity. But I've been reading lately about how Basecamp first got started. So Basecamp, for those of you who don't know, project management tool, when they built the first version of their software, they were a web design agency like we were, and they built this on the side to satisfy their own need of a tool to make projects run easier. And actually, they had very tough constraints of they had 10 hours a week to build this thing, and so it was a side project essentially. But what that did do was give them clarity when they went back to it to know, okay, what's really important, how can we prune out things that aren't relevant, and actually those constraints can help with the decision-making process and just get rid of anything that's not really key. And so I'd say that using it as a positive, not a negative, what are the constraints you have, and is that time, in which case how can you get the most of that time by being really effective with it. And also then, because you're working on different businesses, you might come back to it with a new sense of clarity that you didn't otherwise have, because you've got time away from the day-to-day, which is obviously challenging when you're building a startup. You also mentioned about how to promote side projects. I think the other bit of it is how can you be really effective with that time and get the most bang for your buck in terms of awareness about that, because obviously it takes time to build an audience. So one thing we did, which was related to what you said about building communities from day one, was just put on a meetup group. So putting on meetups for us was a way to share what we were trying to do, share our vision for the movement, but also to meet people and chat about their concerns and their challenges, and then slowly building this tribe together. And so that for us was a great way to not only build support, but also to get feedback about what this could look like as a business too.
I think another thing to mention is the Happy Startup School had its own brand and image, in a sense. It didn't really relate too much to our original business, Spook Studio. Mm-hmm. So that was one way of doing it. That's the way we did it. We found that we didn't want it to look like a business scheme that's running out of Spook Studio. It was much more to do with, this is an idea we have and it should stand on its own legs. So there is some kind of benefit, and then whether that idea is going to live or die based on its own merit, rather than it being piggybacking on the original brand.